Game number 2 here of a PvP best of 3 WCS EU Challenger games, or Challenger Qualifier games should I say. Overgrowth is going to be the host of the second map, and spawning to the lower left we have the blue Protoss player. He represents Fnatic. It's Harstem. To the top right we have his opponent, representing Fox, 1-0 up, Kiwi. Kiwi went for a charge lot Archon composition in game number 1, whereas Harstem went for those Colossi, but unfortunately for him, early on in the game he invested heavily in a lot of Phoenix that just weren't able to do that much, and so that mid-game power force of Zealots and Archons was just able to crush through and actually beat him straight up. Harstem now needs to win this game, or he is eliminated from this qualifier. And I can guarantee that's something that he does not want to be happening. So, gateway coming down on both sides, nothing crazy, no proxies or anything like that. And I'm glad to see, because proxies and things like that make very short games and it gets brackets all out of order. But more importantly, it means we miss some great fun. So, I'm glad to see that they're playing straight up, because game number 1 was a very straight up series. So I'm really hoping that game number 2 and potentially game number 3 follow suit, because that keeps things looking very exciting for us and very fun for us. So trying to work out if we've got any big tells from these two players yet, but to be honest, there isn't much. 2 gases being down now for Harstem, 2 gases being down for Kiwi, both sitting on 4 probes. Just lets us sit there and say it's unlikely that we'll be getting any really big tech-based openings. We're not going to be getting a rush up into, say, a Twilight Council or a Stargate. Otherwise, there's so many things you can do. Even going up into 6 probes now in gas isn't huge. Going to get the 2 gates again out of Harstem now. This is the same way you opened in game number 1, although it didn't manage to do too much in that, or with that. It was just a very simple pressure style where he delayed the natural base of his opponent a bit, but didn't really do much damage or capitalize on it that much more. Quick little look now, Harstem comes down, he's seen everything that he wants. Meanwhile, Kiwi has also scouted out nicely. He's seen the second gateway, which is probably the most important thing. But is that going to mix up what he does? The answer, no. Opening up with that Stargate again. Looks like we're getting a brief pause here now from one of the players. That's all fine. Let's just really think about how this can play out. So, we're for the most part seeing an identical build to what happened in game number 1 on both sides. Harstem again going for those quicker stalkers. Meanwhile, Kiwi, he's sitting there going into that Stargate. Whether he goes for an Oracle or not is, I don't want to say 50-50, but it is up to him pretty much. It's very difficult for us to find a way to actually identify that before he makes one or the other. There isn't really many tells, at least that I know of. Harstem though, he's playing this out similar. He's got 60 energy on that Nexus, so he could go for the double chrono boost to get more stalkers out. Harstem has yet to see that Stargate, so he doesn't know that it's there. However, a 2-gate opening against a Stargate is pretty good. You get a good number of stalkers out, which means that you can shut it down, as long as your stalkers are nearby. And last game, if you recall, Harstem had the trouble that he was pressuring when the Oracle got in, and that allowed that Oracle to get some decent damage down. Really interested to see where Harstem is going to be spending these chrono boosts now. He's expanding, but he's got 70 plus energy banked up, so now chrono boosting on to that Cybercore. Meanwhile, most of the chrono boosts I believe have been spent either on the Stargate or on the Nexus from Kiwi, who's about to have 2 banked up. And he's going Phoenix this game, so a bit different, more chrono boosts coming through there. And chrono boosts really are the most important thing to check early game if the 2 players are going for similar builds or similar kind of timings and stuff, because that makes a difference. If you see chrono boosts on probes, the Protoss player isn't looking to be aggressive. They want to take it to the mid and late game. If you see chrono boosts on Warp Gate, you know they're looking to put on gateway pressure. If you see Chrono Boost coming down on, obviously, Stargate, you know they want to get out a lot of Stargate units, but generally if there is a Stargate, that's where the Chrono Boost will go. Kiwi going up to 3 gates now, plus that robotics facility. Meanwhile, Harstem also going up to 3 gates and the robotics facility. Similar builds. The Stalkers and the Sentries in position. The Phoenix going to have to back on out of there fast. Did get some great scouts off though. Sees the Robo, sees the 3rd gate, and also sees the Natural. This is really important for Kiwi. He knows that this is all here. He knows that things are looking kind of pretty steady from Harstem and that he should be safe for a while. But he also knows that he doesn't have a natural base down. Because without a natural base, and when your opponent does have one, you know you're falling further and further behind economically. But this is a big 1-base timing coming down from Kiwi. The Phoenix are in this army predominantly to grab some lifts on the power units, such as the Immortal. It takes them out of the fight, prevents them from swinging things in Harstem's favour. Even if the Immortals aren't there, you can grab a lift on things like the Sentries or on 2 of the Stalkers, which at this early stage when there's only around 25-30 total army supply, that can make a massive difference. The Phoenix count up at 4. More Stalkers coming out from Harstem, whereas obviously all pro production is being cut by Kiwi due to being oversaturated in his main and having no natural. All of the money being pumped directly into unit production. Wants to try and take out this natural nexus. Photon Overcharge being used, it buys a lot of time. These Stalkers do not have blink. The Mothership Core taking a bit of damage. The Phoenix trying to find an avenue that they could exploit, but not being successful in doing so. And unfortunately for Kiwi, the longer this goes on, the better it gets for Harstem. Because he's producing more probes. He's up already 28 to 25. His income, you can see he's mining about 200-ish more minerals per minute. And that means that he can outproduce his opponent and stay up in the army supply. An attempt by those Phoenix to get through. Takes a couple of shots, are able to get away though. But 2 have already died. So this isn't ideal. Still more warpins coming through. Harstem though, up by a good amount now in the overall army supply. Upgrades non-existent on either side. Really this is a very tough situation for Kiwi, who is halfway through getting his natural up, but has been unable to really do anything in terms of pressure. He's lost more than Harstem has this game because of those Phoenix going down. A little time warp there allows Kiwi to get a quick hit. The Phoenix lifting up the Immortal, taking it out of the fight, preventing it dealing out a lot of damage, but that meant the Stalkers of Kiwi were engaging for a long time. The Stalker count, even at a glance, heavily in favour of Harstem, who is crushing through this army and is in a very good spot. Kiwi, GG, well plays, and Harstem levels out this series to be 1-1.